Hi everyone. So this is going to be our last of the big theoretical type overviews of personality theories. We've done the Freudian, Neo-Freudian perspectives, we've done the learning behaviorism perspectives, and this one is going to be on the humanistic views of personality theory. So if you've been paying attention so far in the other perspectives that we've talked about, you've probably noticed that there's not a lot of elements of your personality that seem to be within your control. A lot of the Freudian perspectives come from the fact that your personality is reactions to things that have happened to you, usually negative things. And the learning perspectives come from the idea that your personality is shaped by reinforcements and punishments, and you're kind of this passive player in the development of your personality. So humanistic psychology as a whole is referred to as the more optimistic branch of psychology. Humanistic psychology as a whole believes that people are inherently good people. There's goodness within everybody. Everyone has the power to change. They just need to be given the right tools to do so. And so they would look at individuals with more maladaptive personalities as something has gotten in the way of this person's goodness. And they would want to restore to personality theory the empowerment of individuals to actually change. So with that introduction, we will get our slides started for this unit. So again, we're talking about the humanistic views on personality development. So like I said, so far the explanations of personality have been both pessimistic and passive. There's not a lot you can change, and a lot of your personality came from adversity. And there is truth in both of those, right? Like a lot of the pieces of ourselves do develop because we've gone through something difficult and we reacted to it. And in some way, that reaction became a part of who we are, right? Trauma responses can be a huge piece of who we are and how we react to things. Or if you did have a difficult childhood, there might be things of who you are now that are a direct result of, I grew up in that hardship and I don't want to repeat that cycle, or I learned from this, or I had that one strong person that I saw while all this bad stuff was going on, and I've tried to repeat what that person did, right, with Bandura's learning theory. So there definitely is something to be said that our difficulties impact who we are in terms of our personality. And there definitely is something to be said that part of our personalities are shaped by what has happened to us that went well and what has happened to us that didn't. But so again, the humanistic perspective really wants to restore this idea of people can choose how they want to act. People can choose who they want to be. People can choose who they want to behave. And people can gain enough insight to recognize, I don't like this part of my personality and I want to change it. They both have the mental ability to recognize that, and they have the power to do it. So the goals of humanism when it comes to personality theory are to create a more empowered view of personality, meaning you can change your personality, to restore value to the meaning of your individual experiences. You weren't just this passive role in these experiences that happened to you that were shaping you, but you're able to reflect on what those experiences meant and what you're going to do with those experiences in terms of the person that you want to be. That directly leads to the idea that you are able to intentionally change elements of your personality and who you are. And you're able to do that because you can interpret meaning from your important experiences. So the goal of humanism is to ask the question of, how do healthy people develop? And how do we restore power to people for them to intentionally make themselves healthy? The key player in humanism when it comes to personality theory that I want to highlight is Carl Rogers. And the reason that we talk about Carl Rogers when we talk about personality from a humanistic perspective is that he posed the very simple question of, does a person feel good about who they are? What is your self-concept? So he would ask people, how do you see yourself? Who do you think you are? And he would look at how many positives versus how many negatives were in their responses. And one pattern that he noticed that emerged, which is how he refined his theory a little bit, is that within all of us, we have an ideal self and we have a real self. We all have things that are, this is the person who I would like to be. This is how I would like to react to situations. This is how I would like my emotions to look. I would like to be a less angry person. I would like to be a more communicative person. Whatever it might be, we have ideals about who we would want to be. And then we have our evaluation of ourselves in terms of who we really are, who we actually are. And what Rogers believed is that, Freud gave this idea that our underlying driving motive was anger and sex. Adler modified that our underlying driving motive was to make up for this inferiority complex as a child. Rogers believed that really our underlying driving motive is we all have this idealized picture of what the best version of us looks like, and we're all just trying to get there. And sure, maybe that is based on the fact that there are places that we felt inferior as a child, or maybe there are things where we have an anger response that we're trying to figure out how to deal with it. But at the end of the day, it's not as passive or deterministic as what they made it seem like. It's the fact that I know who I want to be and I'm trying to get there. And that's my driving motive for why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's my driving motive for how my personality is being shaped. And so he developed this idea of congruence and incongruence. If my ideal self is over here, and the person that I actually am, I see as being over here, and I don't really have a clear path from how I'm going to get from this point to this point, I'm probably going to have a lot of emotional distress. And I'm probably not going to be very pleased with the person that I am and how I'm expressing my personality. And he called that incongruence. Whereas on the other hand, if I see myself on a daily basis being really similar to my ideal self, the person who I want to be, or if maybe I realize I'm not who I want to be, but I know that I'm taking active steps to get there, that's going to result in congruence. I'm going to have a better self-concept. I'm going to have a better view of who I am. I'm going to be more optimistic. I'm probably going to be seeing the world as a better, more facilitating place for me. And so Rogers basically believed that the core of our personality has those two components, who we would like to be and who we are, and what we're doing about it. Are we striving to get from one to the other? Are we there where the two match up really well? Or are we not there at all and don't really see a good path for ourselves to be striving for it? And it's in those cases where we would see the maladaptive behaviors and the unhealthy patterns. So again, going back to this overall view of humanistic psychology, that we all have good in us, and we all have this inherently adaptive, positive piece of us, and things just get in the way of us behaving in that way. And that is how the humanistic perspective would explain personality theory.